scary because you pretty much have second locked up, and there's a pretty big jump between fourth and third and second.
Yeah.
And maybe against Mark specifically, you do better by calling pre because he's going to make some ill-advised bluffs post-flop that guys like you and I would not make.
Exactly. It's one thing to know that he can be bluffy with his 3-bets and take certain spots and bluffy post, but clicky post and spewy post. But it's a whole other thing to get on this leveling war. We think you're just getting it in an appropriate amount of time with queens there against the chip leader to justify 4-bet getting it in.
Yeah.
For that much. So. I really like Brian's line in that hand.
Yeah, I think you have to call. And I mean, it's so cool too. You have a lot of his hands that are just 2 undercard hands that you just
also with the chip stacks the way they are, I feel like you have to broaden your calling range against him pre-flop. So you might as well have some really good hands in it to protect those calls.
The only hands that you're getting all in pre there with is kings and aces.
Yeah.
And you might not even be getting I'd say that like if we were looking at software would say get in kings, get in aces. It definitely wouldn't say getting queens for that amount.
Right.
Oh, guys.
That's a great point, too, though.
Yeah.
It's just kind of just balancing all the other hands that he will be calling out of position that he will feel comfortable sustaining to a 3-bet.
Guys, Mark opened the button here for the minimum. Kelly just called out of the small blind, which is pretty surprising to me.
I love it.
But you think that she's laying a bit of a trap for Greg there to come over the top?
Greg's sitting there with 13 blinds. I mean, we just saw him ship it in with ace-7 off. I guarantee if he looked down at any ace, he would have just gone all in.
Yeah.
And then she's got a sweet spot where the button has to call or ISO, and she's sitting there with 2 queens and like, all right, let's run it,
Pretty decent flop for Mark here. He's got a gut shot. He's got backdoor diamonds. He's got a board where he can expect a fold from both opponents fairly frequently, so no surprise that he follows through with a bet. Presumably Kelly will call and Greg will fold.
Yeah. And in this spot, she doesn't really get to get all in that much with the. I mean, maybe she does. I haven't looked at the payouts from 4 to 3, but it's like a pretty cool spot because I do think that she calls the button with the majority of her hands, and it's nice to have this one in there too once in a while for a trap for that squeeze.
Yeah. It's like another 40K, I think. I think they were pretty consistently 35-ish to 40K until second and third.
Oh, wow. Mark drills a straight on the turn.
Yeah, she's just going to check fold the turn, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she shouldn't lose too much. I don't think she calls again, but I could honestly see her maybe calling once more and then being done with the hand.
Yeah, I don't know how much she thinks about blockers, and blockers isn't completely relevant, but having Queen of Diamonds blockers kind of
relevant here.
Knowing that you block him barreling his flush draws, it makes it more likely he has a made hand.
Yeah.
Well, Mark really couldn't have asked for a better card.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, too. Here's a spot where Kelly's value range is almost all, like, okay, maybe she has a set of 7. I don't think she calls 4s or 5s. So she's a bunch of 1 pair, so his sizing should be huge on the turn, mainly because she's capped at a 1-pair hand, and he has, like, all the 2 pairs, all the straights. And that's a spot where you really just want to crush her. He might just make, like, an exploitive bet to just try to get paid off by a weak ace, though, which I think is fine strategically at a final table just to try to chip up. But if, like, in a vacuum in this spot, this is all of his semi-bluffing range and made hands should be very big polarized bets because she's capped.
It's 535 into a pot of a little over 900,000 from Mark. Kelly here facing the decision.
Yeah, I would have said I don't hate that sizing, but after you put it that way, I agree. That makes a lot of sense to me. Let's go bigger.
Yeah. I just think it's awesome. It's like you make the most with your.
She's gonna make this mistake.
You make
with
the
this
most
hand,
with
though.
your. Yeah, I think that
I
this is a turn fold.
I thought she might call again, just playing with her and knowing about her style a little bit.
It is close though because this guy is just he's
so
bomber.
barely.
Yeah, he's just a bomber.
But it's also like, is he gonna give up on this?
But then what do you do in the rear?
Exactly.
Yeah, the problem is even against somebody who is as barely and spewy as him, it's just gross this spot.
Well, 6 cards straight for Mark
how
now.
much does she have in her stack at this point?
Like 4.2, and the pot is 2.
I think that's accurate to 4.2 to what she in real time.
Yeah. What's your bet size there, Jason?
I mean, I think optimally the bet's all in, but I don't think that he'll make it. And like I said, I'm just talking. I don't even think that it's going to make you the most money in this particular situation. I think I would make call me with your ace jack bet. So I'd probably bet like 800K and just guarantee that I get called or whatever, or maybe even like 1.2 million. Yeah. But the best bet here is definitely 4 million all in.
Because she should have, because she should be pretty polarized. I agree.
Well, he's polarized, or he's making a big polarized range, and she's capped with having like ace jack, ace queens, like basically all of her call down range.
Yeah.
She doesn't have like 8-6 or sets of 7s or 4s or 5s or 9s or whatever. So, and he has all that. He has 7-4, ace-7, ace-4. He might even have a hand like deuce-3 suited. He obviously has 6-8.
Yep, that's right.
And all of his hands, even a hand like, let's say he was semi-bluffing with 7-9 of diamonds. 9-7 is the nuts in this spot. And you can just go all in with all your made hands and a bunch of your bluffs like king deuce of diamonds or whatever, and just make the most money against her capped range. But it's, like I said, it's not like that's necessarily the play here right now.
Right.
Well, Kelly here has got the calling chips, bet
Did go big.
1.65 million. Already
1.65.
set out there in front of her, and she does call. She pays off on this river.
I love that bet. That's just a horrendous call. Even against him, I just don't think that. I think he has too many value hands.
Especially when you have the queen of diamonds.
Yeah,
that
hurts you
reduces.
really bad.
That reduces the likelihood of a missed flush draw substantially.
This is why turn gets you in so much trouble if you're not just like 3-bet the hand pre if you're gonna play the hand this way post.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would go check call the flop. You check fold the turn most of the time, but whatever you call it, you call the turn. You're definitely folding the river.
Yeah, I'm very surprised to see that river call.
Yeah,
you're right that every single value hand in Mark's range can comfortably bet that river and bet it for that sizing.
Yeah,
and not be sweating the call at all.
Yeah, I think like if she called and the river was a diamond and he bet, she could go all in, which is I don't think necessarily a play that she would make, but it would make sense. And it'd be kind of relevant. And maybe that was one of her plans was okay. I'll hit a diamond and either lead or check raise all in. Since I have the queen of diamonds, but at the same time, it's like that's just too optimistic.
Yeah.
And by the river, you're just so far. You're really low in your range. Really, I mean, like even though her range is just kind of face up to only being like ace queen, ace jack, ace 10 suited, maybe a set of 7s that was slow played. Queens is like the worst part of that, you know? Like your traps of kings and queens are just folds by the river. You have plenty better hands to call with.
Yeah, great.
Well, guys, we are going to be on a break here for about the next 10 minutes, so we will come back to you, and the blinds and antes will be up.
Well, they decided on a little break.
All right, we are back from our break here on the WPT live stream, coming to you from the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. Currently four-handed in the Lucky Hearts Open. We just saw Mark Dube take down a big pot against Kelly Minkin with his straight against her pair of queens on the ace-high board.
The ducks fly together, so he will be opening them.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's now only at 25 big blinds here.
King Jack.
I think she's going to 3-bet. This would be a spot where I would
Prefer a 3-bet to a flat?
I think it's pretty close either way.
Mm-hmm.
I think calling's not bad, especially with these guys. These guys are just opening so wide.
Yep.
But I think Altman in the big blind does get to just crush you knowing
If you
that,
flat?
Yeah,
Yeah.
knowing that you pretty much, especially after she just trapped the small blind, I think there's 0% chance she traps the button again. I think she would just 3-bet it. Like,
As she has here to 525.
yeah, so, Greggy here.
Greg with a pair of sixes.
Since she's on 25 blinds, I think that sixes are pretty easy fold here.
Yeah.
Especially,
I agree.
I would fold.
yeah.
I definitely wouldn't run my hand over my head as if I had a difficult decision before I did anything.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want them to think if they have like a marginal situation, well, he didn't seem happy about this, I guess I call.
Just snap mugs the Deweys.
Yeah.
I like that fold. I mean, I would definitely think, but I would, yeah, there's not much. I would.
Yeah, I think you
it's
fold the deuces too.
Yeah. She hasn't shown reason, justification to just rip it in there. Not that she's not capable. I'm sure he knows she's capable if you're folding there with that stack, but still. It's pretty strong. You open under the gun.
Well, it's the cutoff now, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would love the flat there though with her blade hands. If given that she, I mean, even
With the short stack
she
behind
might
and
be
an
a little
aggressive
bit
chip leader in
bitten
the
from the last hand.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
it's
I
a
think
great
it's a spot where no one would ever believe she had a huge hand again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Altman would attack that spot, so trapping would be amazing. I just don't think you would ever see it. I don't think she would ever do it. I think if she peeled two kings there, she wouldn't trap again. I think she would just immediately 3-bet.
Yeah. You're probably
Guys, what are you doing with Greg's 11 big blinds and queen 9 offsuit on the button there?
What am I doing?
right. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so as well. I would definitely be shoving queen 10. I was intending to shove queen 9, but he folded it pretty quick.
I'm all in. For sure.
I'm trying to think what my worst hands that I'm shoving there
I mean,
is.
he's in last by a
Yeah.
large margin. Any profitable shove you have, you got to shove.
Yeah,
Queen 9 off, Queen 8 suited's definitely going in. Queen 7 suited's profitable, I think. Check me on there. But
It wouldn't surprise me if all the suited queens were profitable. Seems awful close,
no.
right? 11
yeah,
bigs?
I don't think you can shove Queen deuce suited on
No?
the button. No. I could be wrong. I don't think you can.
I can't verify that.
I'm not
know
really sure.
I know I wouldn't shove that hand.
I know just roughly in my head, and,
Yeah.
and I could be way off. I played on like little internet tournaments where you're checking this stuff every other time in a while. But I'm
Yeah, that's the tricky part is
I
you get
feel
off
like
it for a while.
Yeah, I feel like you're all in. The cusp is Queen 7 suited.
Okay.
Queen 9 off.
225.
Probably King
I'm shoving
5
Jack
suited.
10. What's the worst Jack you're shoving? I'm shoving Jack 10, I think.
I'm shoving Jack 10. I don't know
Jack
if I'm
9
shoving
suited's
Jack
a better
9.
shove than Jack 10 off.
Yeah.
I believe
I
that.
would
Jack
shove
9
Jack
suited's a
10
sweet
suited.
hand.
Yeah, I think I would fold Jack 8 off on the button for
Yeah.
12.
Yeah. Well, Mark here out of the small blind going to 3-bet Brian with his king queen suited.
See, this just, I don't know, it's fine, but Kelly's playing so tight from the big line, you're just going to get yourself in these high variance spots. Does he have a significant chip lead now?
He does. He has like 3 million more, 2 or 3 million more.
Yeah, it's just a value 3-bet. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess his intentions are just calling a 4-bet, which is fine. But this Altman guy, I know he hasn't done it so far, but he's a battler. Like, he's going to 4-bet a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 3-betting's fine. Calling's, yeah, it's
They're
pretty
both
close.
reasonable
Yeah.
options depending on how you think Brian's going to react. If he's going to blast you with a bunch of 4-bets, it gets
Yeah,
tricky.
that's what I'm saying. I would just call.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily going to say all this stuff is bad or good, but I think
Yeah.
Mark, in a lot of ways, he looks down. Wow.
Whoa, this I'm not a big fan of. I don't peel 5-4 offsuit here.
Yeah, it seems wild.
I cannot feel it either. What I was gonna say real quick is just Mark. I think he looks down at his hand and just plays his hand for the absolute value strength that it is, rather than
plays
really
in a very
think
linear
about
fashion.
any kind of planning ahead
Yeah.
of how what I'm gonna do if I face a 4-bet or I don't know.
This is weird.
Yeah, it's so weird because he's bet every single flop too.
Yeah.
I think that this is a prime candidate to c-bet.
And-
Obviously, you're value c-betting, and like he doesn't continue with a lot of hands that are worse than you for sure. Maybe other than Queen 10 or whatever.
Right.
But you put a ton of pressure on his Jack X when you barrel twice on a club.
Any of the pairs under the jack
Of course,
are going to
yeah.
have to
You have
fold.
4 outs to the nuts.
Yep.
You block him having Ace Queen. I think that
You can barrel clubs quite comfortably.
Yeah. I think you bet. Yeah, you definitely bet the flop.
This is a spot where you can barrel the flop with the intention to barrel several turns, and a river barrel is much more credible here than it was in this spot with his 4s.
Yeah, if I'm choosing to 3-bet this hand and I get this flop with Ace of Clubs and everything,
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
like, oh, nice, we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Happily
We
betting
got
this
him.
flop, we got him.
Yeah, exactly. And then he doesn't
My
bet
king hides.
the Jack 10.
So I 3-bet
six.
King Queen of Clubs, and I drill the flop
I
on
just
Ace Jack
drilled
4
it.
rain. You
I just
know,
drilled
Like-
it and I
He should
checked.
not
I've been
bet this
betting all
turn,
day.
though.
Now
Yeah.
I check.
Betting the turn would be a strictly protection bet, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't like it.
Yeah, I like that he's checked this turn.
Great.
Yeah, I think Brian's just going to check again too, knowing that he's going to lose to the majority of his range. It's funny.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the only bluff catcher that he plays this way that Altman's in front of. I think like the rest is like 9s and 10s.
Yep.
Brian checks.
Very odd hand.
You're fine with Brian's one so far, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't-
yeah.
I would
yeah.
never put a bet in
Pre-flop,
at this
I think
point. I
pre-flop's
mean,
pretty bad, but
let's just hold.
Plus,
it's just going to go check. This is, and a lot of people say, oh, wouldn't a value bet be justified on the river? But after the guy's checked 3 times, but it definitely isn't.
No, definitely not.
No, you can see
10s and
10s.
nines,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
you're gonna see 9s, and it's just they're not folding.
Check.
Just hope you beat this one
I
value.
want to
hand
see
that
this
you
guy's
have
face
to-
once he sees 5-4 off.
over.
I knew it was gonna be good.
Cooler. I thought I got there, but you got there.
Brian's going for the back.
Pimped, as we say.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason, you're zeroed in today,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's caffeine.
You know what they're about to do and how they're about to look.
Yeah, right there's a hand that a flop bet just wins.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of this clicking we're seeing everyone who's up against it is kind of verifying that it's good. It's all good value. It's a good value 3-bet. If you're getting peeled by 4 or 5
Yeah.
off,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm peeling there, and I'm
Yeah.
comfortably playing the hand out of position post because it's king queen suited, and it's fine. And,
Yeah.
but that's total justification to 3-betting the hand if you're gonna get hooded by 4 or 5 off.
Yeah. And if the guy's defending proper frequencies, like king queen suited's a great 3-bet hand.
Yeah.
But I think that what happens is they just start 4-betting too much, which I'm surprised to see. Maybe I'm wrong after seeing appeal with 5-4 off. Then you just 3-bet all the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally you don't want to inflate a massive pot.
Right. I'm just balancing the other factors. You know, the
Ooh.
ease of playing that hand post out of position, and
Greg's doing what I call the visibly thinking about thinking. Like he's, all right, I want
think
you
he's
to
just
see
gonna
me
call.
thinking. Yeah.
I like calling him. But
Yeah, he only
I
has
like
9
calling,
blinds though.
but oh wow, he's so
Oh,
short.
Wait, he's
So short.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he's already shoved
I
over.
thought he
these
still had
raises.
15, 16. That's what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I
he's got
defend a lot of
9
opens
blinds.
off min raises with 9 blinds.
No,
So
I don't like
do
this.
that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that one.
What do you do, min click it?
No, he made it like half his stack.
He did the. Oh, I don't know what to do. Let me just throw out
Oh,
these
now he's
6
gonna
100
show.
Ks.
Now he's gonna show.
Yeah, I'll show you that.
Yeah, I'll show you if you ask. You're not gonna be here very long, you know.
Yeah.
It's always great
I
if
think I
somebody-
know
his
what you-
demeanor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show
It's
you.
great if somebody who's the short stack asks for a future show
Yeah.
because you're like, yeah, you know, if you're here.
Yeah.
You're gonna go back and watch. It's gonna be hard to figure out what hand you're in.
Yeah, that's not Sanjay Gehi there.
Of course.
We got a little computer here. Sanjay Gehi was our 5th place
I have to be
finisher.
in the hand with
Greg Rosen of New Jersey is the one you see with the aces there.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a Sanjay.
Greg's largest cash previous to this final table was 32,000. So he says that his greatest poker accomplishment is making this final table. He's played only 5 or 6 WPTs before, so you know here's a guy who's clearly really happy to be here. He came in on the I want to say the short stack for the
Yeah,
final
one of
table,
them, definitely.
and has already made an extra 80 or 90,000. So he's having a good time at this
Great
point.
Mark opens for 300,000. Kelly folds.
But you know, there's a lot of right ways to play the aces there. But what you don't want to do is re-raise, but not all of your chips, because that is one of those things where casual players use that as a move to not go all in with their strong hands. And you do see that somewhat frequently.
If you look, Mark just 3x this. This is just going to be a call. I can't imagine 3-betting it. I do kind of like what Altman's doing. At least he's taking the whole group of hands and just kind of calling it all, which is at least you're protecting your crappy 5-4 offs with some big ones. If you noticed, the 3x did get a fold out of Greg's ace-8 off there too, which I think is pretty notable. I'm surprised Greg didn't ship it in after just shipping a 7 off.
Wow, I didn't notice that's what he folded.
Yeah, I think the 3x might have given him a little more fold equity.
That or he just won a hand, maybe. I don't know. I didn't even see him think about it.
Yeah, I don't really understand the 3x opening strategy other than oh no, I get it. I get what he's doing, and I actually like it. I think he's saying Brian never folds a big blind, so I'm going to take a value-heavy range, open it for larger sizing, still have no fold equity, and play bigger pots against someone who has crappy hands in position. That sounds like a pretty damn good strategy.
And especially after you see the
when
flat
he's
of the
flatting
5-4
queens,
offsuit.
and he's flatting a lot of his big hands as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Okay, I was expecting this hand to end on the flop.
So was I. Mark sized down on the flop to 250.
Hold up, no.
Didn't he?
Am
I
Yeah, this
mistaken?
one check call 250. For sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Size down.
I actually don't hate the call. I would call one with the jacks myself. I think that even though you're stone dead, you know you're at the bottom of your range on the turn whenever he bets again. And also, I think the guy has c-bet 100% of hands.
Yeah,
and if
that's
he's
worth
opening
considering.
9-8 suited, you know, if he's probably c-betting pocket 6s and stuff like that. It's just like, I think your hand isn't
But
great.
if you've heard about the 4s hand now, is you really just gonna beat 9-8 suited all the time?
And here's the other thing: if you just saw your opponent 3-bet the king queen suited and then check ace jack X with one of his suit, how good do you feel about him betting this flop just really wide? Or I guess maybe you're saying
that's why
that
he's more
the
okay.
previous one he perceived himself as having showdown value, whereas here he's going to bet every time he has no showdown value.
Well, my main argument is when you think about the entire range of both of these guys and what they're playing, like Brian feels pretty obligated to over-defend a little bit because he knows that he hasn't folded a big blind and most of his hands that he gets the flops with are pure garbage.
Yep.
And knows that Dube knows that. So, and we've seen that Dube just does not, he's opening wide and he c-bets 100% of the time. So jacks clearly is going to be like the worst hand that you check call the flop with outside of your gutter hands or whatever. But you have a small amount of showdown value, and you can't just be assured that Dube's just going to triple barrel every single time he c-bets. Like, I think you call one and you get ready to check fold a bunch of turns, but sometimes the guy's just like, all right, he saw me barrel off with 4s earlier. I'm going to shut it down. I made my stab.
Okay. And
you win with jacks, like maybe 15% of the time or something.
Gotcha.
I disagree only in the sense that Mark's style. I just think like against a lot of people that's my play, but against Mark's style, I just think he's when he doesn't have a lot of equity to win the pot. I think we're facing barrels way too often.
Well, he did only bet a third of the pot anyways.
Yeah, he did.
Which means
down.
Yeah, so if someone's betting a third of the pot, you need to win like
the sizing makes me want to peel
under 1 in 4 times or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Poor Kelly getting coolered here. Ace King first to act, and Greg
Is he
with
gonna
pair
do
of
it
aces.
again? He's gonna 3-bet a non-all-in amount.
Wow,
He's
which
only
is
got
just
13
gonna make
blinds.
her sick though.
She's gonna feel so
It's
disgusting.
because he just showed the ace.
Why would you do it
Oh.
again?
I mean, yeah, she's never getting away from it. Obviously,
No,
four-handed, you have a massive hand against 13 big.
This
blinds.
is how you give someone an opportunity to get away from a big hand here. Like, they're never going to get away from ace
she's
king.
never folding
Never folding this hand.
But
yeah.
you could have like ace jack here, whereas you would have snap called a shove, and now you feel gross.
Yeah,
and
I
maybe
think you would
hero
fold
I
ace
would
jack.
fold ace jack.
Yeah.
I would fold ace jack.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he just has queens, tens, jacks. Like, you're just never folding ace king. You don't need to justify
I'm
the
feeling
get
a little sweat here. I'm feeling the queen jack flop.
Yeah.
Queen
I
jack.
hope she gets a sweat.
Yeah.
Fortunately, a lot of queens already in the muck. I saw queen jack and another queen X hand go in the muck.
Never mind.
But
I'm feeling much.
I'm rooting a set. Let's go 10 jack X or something.
All right.
I know that Greg is a nice guy and he's having a fun time and everything, but it feels so sick when you're the person with the ace king. You just get cooler and they just start shouting, "Yeah, I got you!" You know,
You're just
like,
so dead.
And
You're
you
just
gotta,
like,
you gotta
come
cheer
on.
for Kelly.
Yeah.
She's trying to make history here. She seems like a really nice girl, very soft-spoken.
Yeah, very
plays
nice
well.
girl.
yeah, playing real well.
I met her on this trip through some other friends, and she seems very nice.
No, and I don't think Greg did anything wrong, celebrating.
for
It's
a
just
shot.
when you're in Kelly's position, you're just like, yeah.
Yeah, no, Greg deserves to celebrate. Let's
Yeah.
get a 3, little chop.
Deuce
swap.
here at 3.
Chop, chop.
turn is the
Well,
A 10 on the turn will end this.
We'll go clean out the river.
Kelly was at a pretty horrific day here so far. He's going to lose half her remaining stack with ace king to aces in a
Greg's gonna
unpreventable
win the pot.
cooler.
Yeah,
Two
absolutely.
pair aces and deuces.
At the end of the day, when you're playing a six-handed final table and you're not winning when you get down ace, king, and queen, it's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so obviously we can criticize how to play those hands all we want, but it's when you're not winning those ones, it's gonna be a rough day.
You could just be like you and get ace king in against ace jack and ace queen every single time and
Right.
lose like 12 times in a row.
Right.
I watched that Bay 101 final table the other day. I couldn't believe how bad you were at.
Oh.
That was a heartbreaker, man.
Yeah.
I didn't get to do a stream for that one, so I just heard about
just
it.
got
after
it in
the
good,
fact,
like,
and I
over
heard
and
that he
over
just
and
got
over.
See, we played
again.
four-handed forever, so really shout out the stacks, and unfortunately at that point, we needed to win some showdowns that I couldn't. But prior to that tournament, we had so much play, and that tournament was unbelievable. We were four-handed for like 4 hours, 5 hours.
Wow, it was 5 hours at the Borgata the other week. That was
Right.
that was a long 5-handed match.
Right. Now shout out the stacks, and then, you know, when the cards get turned face up, it's out of your control.
Mark has a small blind, Kelly with the big blind. Greg will be first act.
Action with Greg,
Got a little
Mr.
more pep in his
Aces.
step. Mr. Aces.
It's just, twice in what, 4 hands or something?
Sick. He's feeling really good now.
We'll never fold this. Wonder if he decides to limp buttons now.
I was just thinking about limping.
Yeah, I
but
think that it's he's a guy that will limp some, and now since Kelly's on the short stack, I think it'd be a good way to.
Mark folds.
But if she continues just to snap fold her big blinds with hands like this, with like queen 7 off and things like that, then you just got to keep min raising. Yeah.
Yep.
I would,
Your steal
yeah.
success is just so high that there's no reason to ever limp.
I wanted to look at her stack too before I decided what I would definitely do. With 13 bigs, I'm opening into.
Yeah, well, and the fact that your steal success is 100%. Like if you're just winning so much when she should never be folding to a min raise queen 7 off against a button that's a button opening range that's like I don't know 75-80%.
At the very lowest.
Yeah, absolutely.
agreed.
Yeah. You just call and flop a pair and hope good stuff happens.
And then we have 28 bigs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least when a C bet from his 3-5 off or whatever it is, you open the button.
Right.
Oh, now he gets premium
Mark's
cards.
first off with 11. Brian's gonna be first act.
Brian gonna raise his 10-6 suited.
Opens for 225,000. Mark
I'm just
folds.
really surprised that he's not punishing him. Like ace deuce off there.
Like ace deuce off, that's
I'm
a pretty good
three-betting
hand to
that
3-bet.
100% of the time.
I
on Dube's
agree, I like
spot.
that.
You've got 15 million. They both have under 30 blinds, or under 25
I
blinds or
love
something.
this spot. And he's just
crush
snap
them.
folding.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised.
Guys, what are you doing with Greg's 9s here and 28 bigs to start the hand?
I would 3-bet call, but I think
Especially
there's a
against
chance Greg
Brian
just,
and his
my
opening range.
my guess against Greg is he just shoves. Wow, he's just
I
gonna call.
was gonna say I
I think he's
kinda
gonna
expect Greg
tighten
to
up
call.
now that
Yeah.
Kelly has half
Yeah,
of
I
his
agree.
stack. He's gonna play a little bit different now.
This,
Nines are so
He's not shoving
Yeah,
that ace 7
9s are
spot
huge
earlier.
against Brian.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you
No,
got
I
30
agree.
blinds. I think it goes 3-bet call, shove, and then call as for options in order of best to worst. I think
Yeah.
calling's the third best.
I agree.
Greg will check.
Greg checks.
And let's see if Greg makes a really defensive kind of the standard tell that amateur players do when they have those weakish bluff catchers. They call flops very quickly and defensively. I'm going
Very
to
true.
see if he does that. If he just kind of flicks in a call or if he thinks.
Boom!
Yeah, there's your defensive
You are
call.
so zeroed in today.
So zeroed in.
So yeah, when you see something like that, I'm like, okay, good luck, Jason. Let's empty
Yeah.
the clip.
Yep.
I mean, I just go nuts,
Yeah.
I don't care what I have. I'm just 3-barreling off.
Courtesy
Yeah,
check.
that was slight frustration / just defensive.
Greg checks.
Yeah.
Flick it in. I'm comfortable.
Yeah, this is kind of. I mean, it's not the best card because some of that range is a flush draw for
Yep.
sure. But if I got like a 3 of spades, it's just like,
Right.
holler at your boy. Let's do it.
But I think that
I'm
Brian
very
will
sure, yeah.
likely assess Greg to be on a 7 or a 5 somewhat frequently, and expect that sometimes on the flop, Greg might just try and even end it with an ace. Be like, well, I don't want to deal with perhaps a flush getting there. I'll just go all in. I'm a
Yeah,
little surprised that Brian
absolutely.
didn't go for it. I don't hate that he gave up there or
Greg should not bet this river with that hand. He
And
should
he's
check
making a
call
blocking
100%.
bet clearly. He's betting like
Yeah.
quarter pot.
Just and the speed that he did that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Altman's just going to fold.
Yeah.
But
He has a great
he
bluff
should just be
catcher.
check calling this hand. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Altman's going to stab 100% of the time with his bluffs. It's very hard to get called. You're still going to get called occasionally by like a 6x of hearts or whatever, but that doesn't overcome the amount of times that you run into a better heart that raises you, or you do not pick off a bluff that you would have picked off from checking.
And every now and then, Brian's going to read into the bet sizing as a medium strength flush and try and raise him off his hand. You know,
Yes.
I don't know how frequently Brian's going to do something like that, but he's been aggressive and capable enough so far that I think he will put the pieces together and attempt it now and then.
Yeah, I'm certain that Brian would have made some type of stab at that river. I mean, he just
Oh, you
has
gotta.
to. It's just,
You
yeah,
gotta.
100%.
I hate that bet for so many reasons.
Yeah.
The sizing, if you are going to bet it, your hand's too strong to bet that sizing.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
can actually get value out of your hand.
Yeah.
Not 1/6 pot or whatever that was, 1/5
Quarter pot. Yeah.
So, it's, I mean,
It's a very transparent play, especially to a more experienced player.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to just lead that river with a few bluffs and lead it with king hearts and queen hearts and check call a bunch.
the
And you
good
don't
old value
really-
check is a much stronger play there.
Yeah.
It's like, what, 600K in chips?
Yeah.
Just check.
The other thing is you can't really be bluffing. Like 6-4 got there, the hearts got there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like
Yep,
what
that's a
are you
great-
saying
that's
that
a
you
great point.
have?
Maybe you just check entire range and check
Yeah.
raise all in with the king of hearts.
Mark folds. Kelly
If you
folds.
no bluffs.
Well, back on Greg in the small blind here. He'll just pass up 8-7.
Brian's gonna get a walk.
Brian will take the walk.
Big blind.
I will say that it's probably smart for Greg to avoid blind versus blind confrontations against Brian,
Yeah.
both because he's outclassed from a skill perspective, and also because while Kelly is short, Brian is just going to pound him.
Yeah,
Yep.
everything that Greg
I hate
does should
that
just be ramping up aggression.
Yeah.
Even the nines hand, it worked out well for him, but that should have just been very easy 3-bet call or shove. Just put the aggression on these guys that are opening way too loose and kind of make them play all ins. And I think that's your best bet against guys that are just going to outplay you on the streets.
Totally agree. Like, from a lot of people, I would hate just moving all in for that many chips with 2 9s. It's just a strong hand.
Yeah.
But for him specifically, I think it's totally fine.
Very fine play,
If not
yeah.
optimal.
Yeah.
Greg folds.
I expect a limp here. I don't think he'll raise. He's against the other big chip leader. This plays really good as just a call and then call a raise. Yeah. So I like his strategy here. Hand plays really bad in 3-bet pots, whereas if you limp and the guy 3x's, you have a nice little ace-high bluff catcher that you can call and play a pretty small pot with. I also like Mark's check. Yeah.
I like both too, as well.
Yeah.
For all those same reasons. I really like everything I'm seeing from Brian today so far.
Yeah. He's playing other than the 5-4 off defend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like whatever. I
Yeah.
can see him be like, well,
Spades.
I have position on you and we're the 2 big stacks, so you can't just go nuts. But
Yeah.
pretty
It was
rough.
just ambitious as well.
Yeah, so you're
Definitely.
just going to see a protection value bet here. I like this. I think checking's fine too, but you don't have a spade,
Yeah.
so turns play ugly. You
I
just
like
want to go
this.
ahead and bet and win the pot. It is a value bet, and you get to do that in these like
And you get called
100%
by
range spots.
king high sometimes, even queen high. Some
Absolutely,
people
yeah.
will
He never folds king high.
Yeah.
He's going to call all queen high backdoor flush draws.
Yeah.
275.
A little raise here by
Yeah, he
Mark.
makes like a little freeze. I understand what he's doing. I don't know how I feel about spots like this.
Wait, what is...
He raised.
What's
uh,
the size, though? You can't...
Yeah, he's just
300
basically
even.
raising his little hand.
Oh, 125 to 275.
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it. Got it.
it's- I don't really like it.
I don't like that very much either.
Well, Mark is a guy who really grinded up his bankroll online after Black Friday, which is not something we encounter very much in the poker world, particularly in the United States.
An American online poker player.
Yeah, he was playing $5 and $10 MTTs in 2012 on some of the American-facing sites, and then in 2014 won the 5K at the Venetian during the summer for like 333, and then banked second in a World Series circuit for like 100K. So this is a guy who only a few years ago was, just starting out in tournament poker, and now has found himself with this great opportunity here today, and been very, very active. Has not been boring to watch at all.
No. Some really crazy hands throughout, leading up to this Final 6. Anyone can go read on the updates on the WPT website, but yeah, this, definitely been very entertaining.
Brian here with 8-4 on the button. Going to keep coming after Kelly on her short stack.
210. 210.
Brian opens for 210,000.
Mark is out.
Yeah, I think you just have to open
Small blind.
all the good stuff in
Correct.
there. She's obviously all in here, but
Kelly moves
Yeah,
all
very
in.
nonchalant all in. Brian will fold, and Kelly will take that one down.
All right, we have 30 minutes remaining of this.
It's big, something to
30
smile
minutes.
about. She's, you know,
Yep.
she's been losing most of the hands she's entered, so.
Rough day so far for
yeah,
me.
she's been real classy though.
Yeah, oh yeah, taking everything
Yeah.
in stride. I, for one, think, you know, everything else equal. Women are just more better suited to take the emotional swings of poker and just to take the swings a lot better. I think I've only met Kelly and interacted with her a few times, but she seems extremely level-headed, extremely bright, and just all the tools you need to succeed at the table.
Brian here with the 7-6 suited under the gun. Will definitely be raising this one.
Yeah, that's a pretty one.
Brian opens
225.
225,000.
Mark behind with 9-4 going out.
Folds.
Kelly with 9 deuces out.
Kelly folds.
And now Greg
Greg in the big blind.
presumably will peel his Jack 9.
Yeah, he's gonna call.
I think it's gonna be a gentle call.
Call.
Yeah.
Oh, just flipped it in. God, I'm not as zoned in like Jason today.
But there wasn't as aggressive a flick as we saw on the flop call. Like that was
Yeah,
a
he threw the chip
Because with the
at him.
Look at
medium
how
strength
strong I
hands,
am,
I would
yeah.
expect him to try to make it seem he's a little bit stronger than he is, but he didn't.
Ace of spades.
I think Ulti is gonna see, or he's gonna check back this flop.
I think so.
Wow, this lead is
Ooh,
atrocious.
This is not a good idea.
Now Ulti might just blow the stack off, which if he does, I see. I think. I mean, yeah. I think I can't help myself.
That's just
there.
always is what it is. I
just want to
agree.
beat everyone out of every pot.
That
No,
just
I'm
is
saying
what
if
it
he
always
leads right
is.
there. The price of poker's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
up in my spot. Whereas if he would have checked, I would have probably checked back and gave up.
I agree. That's the irony of it.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried that he'll lead some like ace X's that just aren't planning to fold, but would hate to see the turn card, or sorry, the
just
straight
call.
card come on the turn.
I think I'm just gonna call and just win the hand post a lot.
Yeah.
Just like win the hand on later straights a lot.
And I mean, he did have backdoor flush draw as well, right?
did.
Yeah.
He did the little defensive flick thing again
Yeah.
too, though. I know that he didn't get to show down the last hand, but
That lead, I hate that lead. It's so transparent, and I'm surprised Brian didn't do anything. Like, raise or just like float and just try to win the hand. I mean, that would be too.
Nobody leads anything good there. That's the
I'm
moral of
licking
the
my
story.
chops just like Jason
Yeah.
in that lead too. I'm not. The hand's not done there.
we're now gonna get got by every single person
Who just like leads out ace 10
us.
there and just
Yeah,
owns
yeah, king,
us.
queen.
Kelly folds.
And another
Looks like
walk.
Brian's getting another walk.
Greg
I
folds.
don't know. Go luck with Jack 9 off on that board beating me.
Yeah.
when you lead
Yeah,
into
Brian
me.
was the top
Go
of
for it.
the flips.
I think that a hand. I remember one hand where I saw a lady do that
I
in
thought
front
you-
of
I thought you
table.
asked.
It was
Nah,
a
nah,
front WPT
nah.
that Taylor von Kriegenberg.
Oh, okay.
She led middle pair like that, and
You're
he
nice, you're
raised
nice. I'll give
and,
you one more.
and jammed all
Only
in
one
on
I
the turn with pure bluff,
Right.
pure air.
Right.
I got her to fold, and I think
Right.
it was a spot where he saw that and was just like whatever, and then he went on to win the
It's
tournament.
incredibly exploitable.
50.
You just turn your hand completely face up about like what portion of the range that you're peeling with pre and what you have. It's just so obvious.
Kelly will be first back.
At best, he has one pair and a gutter.
Kelly is out.
Kelly folds over
Greg with Jack 9 on the button.
Don't do it, Greg.
Going to 2 1/4.
I admire his heart, but I don't think it's going to be a great result for him with these two guys.
And Brian likely to pound him with an ace 6.
I agree.
I'm pounding away.
Yep. The price of poker's going up.
6 1/4 or so.
I think
Maybe
this is one of
600.
those spots. Kelly's on 10 blinds. Just bring the variance when you do. Like if I was Greg, I'd probably 4x my hands and just do it really tight and wait for her to bust and then just give it my best.
But that's in line with how he should play the nines and stuff. And the
Absolutely.
problem with recreational types or amateur players, who might be less skilled, they don't know that the proper adjustments. If you are less skilled, they're trying to
Yeah.
play according to what they see other good players do. And that's, the game's a totally different angle when you have the skill edge versus when you're up against the skill edge.
Yeah.
5 to 80.
Oh my.
Uh-oh. This could end poorly.
Is he gonna defend it? I think he's gonna fold.
This would be a particularly bad spot to flat with Kelly being so short stacked. I mean, it's going to end up costing
I would have gone a little bigger
Greg,
for this reason.
I agree.
Just
I
a
just make it
little
like
bit
650,
bigger.
675.
Yeah,
you
I'd go
know.
closer to full 3x than what Brian did here, but it's not a huge. It's not a huge thing.
Brian does get away with that
Oh,
one.
he has to see it.
Brian chose
Oh,
He says you're beating me.
He had one in the bank. That
Yeah, he had one in the bank. Brian honored
Brian
his
showed?
commitment.
Okay. Oh, then it's the easiest 3-bet ever.
When the guy knows he gets to see it when he
Yeah,
folds,
'cause
I
you
know
the
you're
guy
right.
has one in the bank. And
Yeah,
you
you're
get to show.
right.
Oh my God, I would have wasted base 6. Would have wasted an ace high. I want the 10 high there to show.
Maybe a semi-block.
Yeah, Greg, sit on this 30 blinds, make another 50K, and then beat these boys up and win the thing. These two young birds are going to be in the game for a long time. Let's let Greg win this one. All right? Greg or Kelly? I want Kelly to make a comeback. Alty's made all the online money. The other guys won Foxwoods and Venetian and all that.
You know, the American online money
Yep.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
your first act. That's a long time.
I know.
Pretty hand.
Brian with a real one here. Going to 210.
Brian opens for 210.
Mark out. Kelly 5 deuce can't play.
Snap
Easy
it off
one.
for 13 bigs when she shoves.
Full blinds release.
Yeah.
Brian
I expect to be
Williams
behind,
for
but King Jack suited is just too good a hand.
Agreed. I would definitely expect to be behind most often.
Well, guys, what's coming up next for you on your travel or live poker plans? I guess, Jason, we'll start with you, then go over to Muckle.
Well, there's a chance I go back to Macau for a few weeks and,
Okay.
and get back in cash games, but I'm going to play LAPC and maybe do the California swing unless something comes up.
All right. Muckle, what about you? We seeing you on the California swing or
Cali
Falls
swing.
View?
Cali swing
Okay.
for sure. I'm going to chill out in Florida during Falls View. Just stay down here. There's a little circuit event next weekend.
Oh, that's right.
World Series circuit and Valentine's Day weekend with wifey, and then see you guys in Cali. Can't wait for Cali.
Yeah,
Had
should
great
be a
time
great swing.
Last time, and definitely looking forward to it.
LAPC, one of the few remaining 10K events in North America. Always gets a strong turnout. Kelly moving all in here with Jack Deuce for 13 blinds in the small. Guys, you like that one against someone like Greg, who you don't expect to call that wide, but Jack Deuce, of course, a very
Definitely
weak
not
hand.
calling correctly,
Yeah.
but is that enough of a justification to shove that wide? 13 bigs? I don't know.
Wow. I think she should just go for a steal there. Or limp or something. I don't think she should fold because the guy's just way too tight in that spot.
Yeah.
But I think maybe just
2.5x.
do a really face up like weak
Yeah.
3x even and just
Yeah.
fold to a jam. I think it's just going to work against
Limp
them.
leading a lot, just lead every time. You really just the bare minimum. You can spend 2 blinds in a way that's going to win a lot. Limp and then
Exactly.
lead
Yeah.
every flop.
Yeah, I don't
Jack
think I'm
three
going
off
to
is
shove.
just so
You're
dust
just so
both.
dead when he calls you. Although it probably is profitable if he just
Probably,
looks
yeah.
down at like King 8 suited and
And
folds.
he's still folding? Yeah, you probably, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Against someone who's never calling correctly, it definitely has got to be profitable.
Yeah, I
but
mean it's gutsy if anything.
you should be any 2 technically. I mean, it's definitely profitable to shove 7 deuce off against someone who's folding King 8 off.
Yeah,
with
I
a big
promise
blind.
you that. Yeah, that's an any 2 spot if that's happening. So
Yeah,
maybe
if it
she's just
is.
aware of that and like whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Greg
Yeah.
gives Brian yet another walk. Brian with all these real hands in the big blind.
Getting hit with a die.
We haven't seen a lot of huge setups or anything. at
No.
this point. Not a single one, have we?
Ace King versus aces.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
that's a big
that
one.
was it.
That one counts. I feel like you see that at every funnel table. The Ace King versus Ace. Brutal.
It's often how people get got in poker tournaments.
Yeah.
You look down at Ace King, you're like, yep, not folding. Oh, wait, I'm basically drawing dead.
Those are the ones that are so painful. I have an ace in my hand. How do
Yeah.
you have 2 of them?
How do you have
How do
two?
you find 2 of them?
Day 3, cutoff open. Kelly 3-bet the button, and the cutoff shoved for like 30 bigs, and she called with red kings.
Uh-huh.
And he had Ace King with the Ace of Spades and got an Ace High all spade board, and she turned the Ace King in his face. Yeah.
Oh, I think I read that
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Kelly, you're under the gun with King 5 offsuit.
Kelly folds. Greg folds the button.
I would like raising this hand equally as much as I would like limping it. I think ace-4 off is a much better limp than queen-8 suited. I think queen-8 suited is a hand that plays pretty well, heads up in a raise spot. You get to semi-bluff a bunch, and you get value from a bunch of hands that, you know, are going to eat. Like, I don't think that Brian is folding, or I'm sorry, Mark is folding 9-5 off to a 2.5x raise or queen-5 suited or anything. So I think limping's fine. I also think raising's fine. So Mark's just value raising the queen-9 off, which
Yes, he is.
I think is maybe the bottom of what he should be doing it with. I think it's
I think
fine.
it's about right, yeah.
Yeah, 2 cards bigger than an 8 are pretty good.
Brian
He's
will almost
never
certainly
gonna
call
fold
here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Calls. Heads up
We'll go to a flop. Brian in a dominated position, but with the suited hand.
10 spades, 7 of clubs.
Neither player really connects on 10-7-3. Mark
Mark's
the
got
only
a
one
really
with a
nice
spade.
betting hand though.
Yeah, he does.
It's just gonna go bet fold. I think. I don't imagine Brian continuing on this
Check.
board.
Brian checks.
You were pretty standard sizing. If you're in the small blind and you like going 2.5 here with queen-8 suited, you would pretty much go 2.5 with most hands.
No, I think it's just whatever I want my strategy to be. For instance, whenever Martin Jakobsen was at the final table of the main event this year, you saw him play against Stevenson, who refused to fold a big blind. So what Jakobsen started doing is opening top 25-30% of hands for a big sizing. So if you want to play a strategy that is just raise or fold, then you need to have smaller sizing because you're going to have a lot of weak hands in your range. But if you're playing a balanced strategy of folding some, limping some of the middle and some of the traps, and then raising mainly value, I think you should raise for a bigger size.
Okay.
It's just whatever kind of strategy you want to employ. I think a good default strategy in tournaments for people that aren't comfortable playing post-flop is to maybe play the top 60% of hands for a 2.5x raise or something like that.
Yeah,
Would be
that
fine.
seems very reasonable and pretty standard, yeah.
Yeah, just fold the rest. But if you're an advanced player, you should have a limping strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Against most people, unless you're facing someone like Kelly today hasn't defended a single big blind. So if I'm facing somebody like that, I'm just going to raise it all.
Yeah. And smaller, I would
Yeah,
think as
And
well.
smaller, yeah. I tend to go a little bit bigger and when I do raise, but I have a pretty, I limp a ton small to big, and I generally go closer to 3x.
Yeah,
And
you
I
play
probably
good
would
with
with
a nice
queen-8
hand.
suited, and I probably would with, yeah.
Mark folds.
With a lot of
Kelly.
hands.
Kelly folds.
Brian will take that one down, and we'll take a moment to remind you guys about all the great action on our sponsor DraftKings tonight. It's a big slate of NBA games tonight. They're having one of their largest NBA tournaments so far, a $333 buy-in with a $200K guarantee, which is filling up as we speak. But there's also a $33 buy-in that's a $150K guaranteed prize pool, a $3 buy-in that's got a $100K guaranteed prize pool. Of course, you can win a World Series package tonight for just $27 and win WPT packages for as little as $50 or even satellite your way into that satellite for about $5. So lots of great opportunities tonight. Tip-off is about 7 p.m. Eastern, so you got to get your lineup sorted by then. But there are a slew of sports available now on DraftKings, including NBA, NHL, PGA, college basketball, and MMA. So if you want to get involved in daily fantasy sports, DraftKings should be your destination. Mark here with ace-5 suited on the button.
Nice button hand.
Assessing the other player's stacks before he decides and going with the min raise.
Mark raises to 200,000.
Kelly with queen 3 suited in the small.
This is a negative to acting very quickly every time when you actually have things that you want to think about and that might be close in your mind. I think this is pretty telling.
Kelly
If she
folds
did do
in
something
small
there.
blind.
But she clearly had more of a decision than she has
Yeah.
with all of her
Yeah,
other
she's
blind
snap
decisions.
shift the other stuff.
She snap shifted ace 9 suited, which was a snap decision.
Yeah.
She snap folded a lot of times, which were easy decisions, but still, if you take 5 seconds every time, you're just better off.
Deuce diamonds, deuce of hearts, king of spades.
This is a very defensive check again from
Greg check.
Greg. He's kind of saying I'm giving up here.
Yep.
That's 200,000. And he'll take down the spot.
A quick bet and fold there from Mark. who has what I believe is a gamer hat on. I'm not sure which controller that is. Looks like the old school Nintendo controller from here.
It does.
I'm not exactly sure.
I like it when he looks down at his cards. It's pretty funny to look at. It's like that. Yeah.
Yeah. He seems like a character.
Action back with Mark in his 8-3 offsuit.
Mark folds.
Kelly with trash on the button.
Yeah, she's gone pretty card dead here.
Kelly folds.
Greg giving yet another walk.
And
Brian just hanging out in his big blind all day.
Oh yeah.
Not so great.
It's a shame she doesn't have something a little bit more reasonable because that's a pretty great. What'd she have? 12 blinds.
7 or less.
Right around there, yes.
Actually, 9 views on that one.
all right, once again, this was our $3,500 main event.
Hello.
Just gonna guess the guy with the beard is related to Brian.
4 players in fourth place will receive $220,000. With the first place prize of $722,000.
Get to see every single person in the crowd. It's exciting. Oh, hi.
Back with Kelly here. First to act.
All right, Kelly's first act, she folds.
Now Greg, 10-9 suited on the button. Looks like he's gonna 2.5x, maybe a little more. He's going up to about 285.
I like it.
I like it too. And my read actually in game would be that he has a strong hand. It looked like he
Yeah.
looked down. He really liked this hand.
Yeah, and then he was like 4 of them.
Let's
Well,
go.
less.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
He looks very strong.
Yep.
Get him, Greg.
There you go.
Big blind.
So Greg will take that one down. Continues to hang around the 30 big blind mark.
Yeah, I believed him that time.
Yeah.
Without seeing the card. Well, he did have a nice hand.
He did, right.
Guys, did you get in for many bullets during the course of this event? Did you have to fire very hard?
Yes.
Muckle says yes. What was your number?
I was in for 5.
For 5, Jason?
Only one.
Only 1. I was in for 2. And
I probably made it the least far.
Who, you?
All 3 of us. Probably.
where'd you was your last
I
bust?
did not make day 2.
You did not make day 2. Then I made it like 6 hands into day 2.
Yeah, that's how I was at
Yeah.
the 5 diamond, the 10K. I was in for 4 or 5. I think I was in for 4, and I just busted first hand back, like kings to ace king, like right
After
after
re-entry?
right after the re-entry. Yeah,
Just feels so dumb at that point.
So
this
bad.
sucked.
Yeah. That's the first time I've been in for like more than 2 or 3 ever.
Yeah.
Not made the day 2 though.
I was gonna say you're not normally the guy I talk to who's like, yeah, I fired a whole bunch of bullets in there.
Yeah. Well, I definitely fire a good amount, but I usually have a stack to show for it.
Yeah.
I think at least day 2 stack, but couldn't make it happen this time.
Now Mark here with a pair of 6s facing a button raise. We've seen him 3-bet these smaller pairs
I really
before.
don't like 3-betting this
Same. I
hand.
don't like this one.
Yeah, I think you have position in 4s are significantly worse hands
Yeah.
than 6s. Now you're out of position. You're inflating a pot against a guy who's just shown you that
He's gonna flat
defend
5-4.
tons. Yeah, he's just gonna defend everything he opens.
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Here's-
You also see that Mark's going bigger here, which I don't know how I feel about that. I guess if you know the guy is defending 5-4 offsuit, you'd want to continue encouraging that type of thing, right?
If you're really sick, you just go all in because you know he never does it with aces or kings. He never makes it that size. If you're just the sickest, you just look at him and say, okay, call me, I'm on.
But he'd still call with like jacks, though, right?
I don't
Wouldn't
think
he?
he makes it that size with
No?
jacks. No, I think
Okay.
he's just like, I want
Yeah,
you to
but
fold. I'm making it
He might not
700,000.
he might not have ace or king, but I think Tony's saying he still might call with some hands.
Yeah.
That you.
Yeah,
you,
I'm
'cause you're not
obviously
yeah.
being
right.
extreme, saying you
Right.
can go all in. I'm just saying he's turning his hand face up.
I agree that he's doing
Sure,
that.
sure, agreed. I don't mind going bigger if you are going to 3-bet, but I hate the 3-bet.
Yeah, I would just flat there and try and win a smaller pot post flop.
Yeah, and you're
Let's say